All right, let's just jump right into it. We are tackling the big question on everyone's mind. Is AI coming for our jobs? We're going to cut through all the hype, all the noise, and look at what the actual data is telling us. Right here, right now.
I mean, you've seen it, right? The debate is it's a total whirlwind. On one side, you've got these utopian dreams of insane productivity, and on the other, these dystopian nightmares of mass unemployment. Everyone's got a hot take, but actual, hard evidence? That's been really tough to find. Well, until now.
So check this out. A team at Stanford University got their hands on an absolute treasure trove of data. We're talking millions of anonymous payroll records from ADP, the biggest payroll company in the US. This means they can see, almost in real time, what is actually happening to jobs out there in the wild.
Okay, so what did they find? Well, the first thing they looked for is what they called the canaries in the coal mine. Those first little warning signs. The earliest, most sensitive signals that a huge shift is underway.
And this is such a great metaphor, right? Back in the day, miners would bring canaries down into the mines. If the birds stopped singing, they knew there were toxic gases and it was time to get out. In the same way, these researchers are looking for the specific jobs or groups of people who are feeling the effects of AI first. They're our warning signal for what might be coming down the pike for the rest of us.
And boom, when they looked at jobs we know are highly exposed to AI, think software development, customer service, a really startling pattern just jumped out of the data. Since late 2022, employment for the youngest, most junior workers, it just takes a nosedive. Meanwhile, their more experienced colleagues, their job numbers are steady, some are even going up. It's a huge divergence.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's just a couple of jobs. But no, this isn't just a tech or customer service thing. The data shows that across the entire economy, the more exposed a job is to AI, the bigger the drop in employment. But here's the kicker. It's only for young workers. For literally everyone else, that pattern just vanishes. It's incredibly specific. And we're not just talking about some little wiggle on a chart. This is a real, concrete number. We're talking a 6% decline in employment for workers aged 22 to 25 in the jobs most exposed to AI. And get this, in those exact same jobs, older workers actually saw their employment go up. That is not a small deal.
Okay, but the story gets even more interesting, more nuanced, because it turns out that not all AI is the same. The way a company uses AI in a specific job, well, that makes all the difference.
So the researchers basically split it into two big buckets. On one side, you've got automation. That's when AI is used to replace a human task. It does the job instead of a person. On the other side, you've got augmentation. And that's when AI is used as a tool to help a person, to make them better or faster at their job. And once you split the data this way, wow, the picture becomes crystal clear. For jobs where AI is used for automation, to replace human tasks, that drop in hiring for young workers is huge. It's undeniable. But then you look at the other side. The jobs where AI is used to augment people, to help them. And guess what? The negative effect completely vanishes. Poof, gone. Employment for young folks in those jobs is totally stable, sometimes even growing. So this tells us something really important. The immediate threat isn't AI as some big scary monster. It's specifically AI used for automation.
All right, so that's the what. We know young workers in jobs that can be automated are feeling the squeeze. So now let's get to the why. What is actually going on here with hiring, with paychecks, and with the whole idea of experience? And this is a really key piece of the puzzle. This whole change is happening at the front door. It's about hiring. Companies aren't really firing the young people they already have or cutting their pay. They're just hiring fewer new ones. It's way easier for a company to just slow down hiring than it is to start cutting salaries for the people already on board.
And the pay data totally backs this up. I mean, after all the drama in the employment charts, you look at the chart for compensation and it's honestly kind of boring. It's just flat. Pay for young workers has pretty much stayed the same, whether their job is super exposed to AI or not at all.
So this leads us to the big question, the central mystery of this whole thing. Why? Why is this impact so laser-focused on the youngest people in the workforce, the ones just starting out? What makes them the ones feeling the heat? Well, the researchers' best guess comes down to two different kinds of knowledge. First, you've got what's called codified knowledge. This is basically book smarts. It's the stuff you can write down, the stuff you learn in a classroom.
Then there's tacit knowledge, and this is street smarts. It's the intuition, the gut feelings, the clever little workarounds you can only learn from years of actually doing the job. Okay, so here's where it all clicks into place. What are generative AI models trained on? The entire internet, right? Which is basically the world's biggest library of book smarts. Now think about a recent grad. What are they bringing to their first job? Mostly that same kind of book smarts. But the experienced worker? They bring the street smarts, that tacit knowledge that AI just can't get from reading Wikipedia. And that's the key. It makes the tasks an entry-level person does way, way easier to automate than the tasks a seasoned pro does.
And that really brings us to the big takeaway from the whole study. The evidence is pretty clear. The AI shift isn't some far-off future thing. It's happening now, and its first significant impacts are being felt by the people just trying to get their foot in the door.
Look, what we're seeing here are just the first tremors of a much bigger earthquake. Right now, AI is a genius with book smarts, but it still doesn't have real street smarts, and that leaves us with a really big question to chew on. What happens when AI stops just reading the instruction manual and starts learning from its own experience on the job? What happens then?